We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Praise be to Yahuwah this. Let's hit this John 5 and 39. Good old Shabbat has made its appearance yet again. All right. End of the noise. Hey, that's over. It's over now. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. How you doing, Trina? And they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive shalom, man? How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Let's take a look at 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. See, that just confirmed it right there for me, Shayla. I ain't getting on no kayak. What I get a notification for? Little autistic boy drowning in the pool.
Hey, leave that in
They
your
ain't gonna have me on no boat by myself. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach, and perfecting Qadash in the fear of Alahym. That's what we've been talking about, and we looked at Abraham and some of the things that he was dealing with. But let's look at the continuation of perfecting Qadash in the fear of Alahym in the greatest sense, and we'll lead in to something else that relates, but yet differs at the same time. I'm not going to be before you long this evening. I just thank the Lord in the name of Yahushua for the word. Praise the Lord. Praise God. Live. No, you could be on the other side of the dirt. Genesis 20:22. My apologies. Could be on the other side of the dirt. At least if you're on the other side of the dirt, at least when you know you go on that side of the dirt, you'll have hope. Genesis chapter 22 and verse 1. Let's look at him moving in the fear of Alahym. And then we're going to transition out on to the next thing. Genesis 22 and 1. Now remember, and they still got to regulate that with the steps of a good man. We ain't forgot about that. We still got to work that in. A lot, well, continuation with that in that regard, because it's important of what we're talking about when you see the words that are used and what they mean. You know what I mean? So let's do that. And it came to pass after these things that Alahym did tempt Abraham and said unto Abraham, and he said, behold, here I am. So let's pull this word for tempt real quickly. The word is Nasah. Word y'all should be a little bit familiar with. You can find something to write on. I have something else which is going to go into when we make our transition. So Nasah, you're going to spell that noon, Samak, and Hey. It means to test or to prove. I guess we're going to be able to crank that up a notch a little earlier. To put to proof. See, a lot of things, right? So, you know, Alahym is putting to proof Abraham at this particular time. And all it is say, look here, behold, will you grab hold to life? Take that hey, give you a behold, take that samak, you grab it and hold it. Take that noon, you got life. So this comes along to this. Let's come over here to Jeremiah 17 real quickly, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. Any adjective that you could come up with. 17 and 9 is what we want. I know everybody knows 17 and 9, but we're really coming here for verse 10 So bear with me. I'm just getting it written down ahead of time. Because this still gonna go in. This is how you able to perfect the Qadash and the fear of Alahym. So let's read that there, right? Verse 9 of Jeremiah chapter 17. It says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahuwah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So when you look at the word try, instead of having the sa here, now you've got become. That's what you got here. You got become. And become is bat, ka, and meme. And it means to examine, to prove, or to scrutinize, to be tried, or to be proved, or to make a trial. So when we're talking about dearly beloved, we have all these promises. Let us cleanse ourselves of the filthiness of the flesh and ruach, perfect the Qadash and the fear of Alahym. In order to cleanse yourself of the filthiness of the flesh and ruach, you need to be tried, or you need to be tempted or examined so that you can be purged. So when you see the thing that we're going to look at about what Abraham is about to encounter and endure, it's going to lead to the part of being purged, which is going to take us back to something that we have been discussing as far as things with the end, bring it all full circle, because we can't always put all these things in at one time, because it's just going to be too much information to drop at one time. So when you look at reins, of course, you know that's the seat of your emotion or your kidneys, and that's the kill out. And I just want y'all to know that that's what that means. So when we see this bot, this cotton, this mean, we see how the sun separates to life, because he separates to water. Or you could sit back and say he separates to blood or the covenant. Either way it goes, it's the sun that's causing the separation through the examination and scrutinizing of the individual. See, a lot of if you want to perfect Qadash, then he's going to have to try you to see if you love him like you say you do. And that takes us back to a good man's steps are ordered by Alahym. And remember, that ordered is that you are firmly established from the get-go. But I want y'all to take a look at something in Luke chapter 22, because we're talking about temptations. And before we get back to Genesis 22 with Abraham, we want to take and we want to stop and we want to move. And then when we do that, we take a look at Revelation chapter 3, just because it's relevant, it's prevalent, and it's outright outstanding. And you know why? Because it's the word of the living Alahym. And what could be better than that? Absolutely nothing. So praise be to you for that. Luke 22, 20. Luke 22 and 20. So, it's a lot. I mentioned some things overnight, you know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff be going on. It's a lot of things that individuals speak about that are great, that are good. But will they lend and tend to salvation? Because we need to be moving towards perfection. Remember, that's Shalem. We looking to perfect the how to be perfected by the ministry for the perfection of the saints by the gospel of Yahushua. You're looking to be perfected by the gospel. So you're looking to enter into a covenant of shalom. That's why we read that Ezekiel 37 the other day. That's why we looked at some of those things to mention those things and to bring those things back to remembrance, because we have discussed these things in times past. So, of course, we definitely always need to stir up our pure minds by way of remembrance so that we can consider. Because the promises, see, people use this stuff in a natural sense quite regularly. They say, obstacles are brought about to see how badly an individual wants something. Well, it's really the searching and examining of your heart to the intent of how dedicated you are to what it is that you say you're seeking to accomplish. We're saying we're seeking to accomplish to enter into the kingdom of Shamahim, the reign of Shamahim, the reign of Alahym. This is what we say we're seeking to enter into. What is that we have to do to be able to enter into that reign? To remember, he said, if you suffer with him, you'll reign with him. See, it's a lot of things that are mentioned as it pertains And again, I state this here: blessed be every single man on the face of the earth who preaches the gospel of Yahushua. May Yah continue to strengthen you, and by all means. And blessed be every single solitary man, woman, and child who believes on the words of the living Alahym through the gospel of Yahushua. May you receive a full reward. See, that's the most important part of the play. See, we could do that's why we looked at that stuff a few weeks back. Because I'm not just rambling and rant. That's why we looked at the stuff a few weeks back about when he said, "Depart from me, you work of iniquity. I don't know you." We did all these good works in your name. We prophesied in your name. We did this and we did that. And he said he doesn't know you. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a trivial point. This ain't no part. That's not a part of the Gospels you should read and just think like, ha, 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 you silly Christians. He don't know you. No, he talking about us, period. He talking about anybody, period. You need to stripe the delineation of Christian, Baptist, Hebrew, Israel, all that from his statement. Yeah, was he talking to Jews, Yahudim, the people of Judah at that time, Yehuda? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But you got to get it in your mind to know you don't want that man to look at you and say, I don't know you. And your response is, look at all the good I did. But he's going to say you were lawless in your inward parts. You know what I'm saying? That's not acceptable. You have to look at this here, man. We're talking about perfecting Qadash and the fear of Alahym. Because we had these promises, we are able and willing and ready to purge ourselves from all the filthiness of the flesh and your spirit. So that means anything that's not clean has to be removed. And that's going to be removed from the Nasa or the Bakam, the trying, the purging of the inward parts. And that's where these temptations or these sufferings and all these things come from, which individuals don't want to talk about. Like you hear somebody say, oh, again, I mentioned this the other day. You see people say, oh, this person's going through this and going through that. Y'all can't be with them. You judging wrong because you judging after what you think it should be. If you know the gospel, you'll see the evidence of who Yahushua is with. And that's whether they suffer or whether they're rich. Doesn't matter. Because we're looking for the wrong thing. But let me get to the point. Luke 22 and 20. I don't want to go all down. It says, likewise, also the cup after supper, saying, this is the cup of the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. But behold, the hand of him that betrayed me is with me on the table. Truly the Son of Man go as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to inquire among themselves which of them it was that should do this thing. And there was also strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But you shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that do serve. For whether is greater, he that sit at meat or he that serve. It's not he that sit at meat, but I'm among you as he that serve. You are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Abba have appointed unto me. Now this is a strong question. He said, you were with me in my temptations. We didn't discuss this here. Can anybody on this string tell me something this man would tempt it on? I seen a brother I know, good brother, man, known the brother for about 7-8 years, man. Brother Ron Jones, man, the St. Louis, man. Got a lot of love for that guy. You know what I'm saying? He made a strong point. When Satan tempted Eve in the garden, what did he tempt her with? They weren't tempted with breaking God's laws. They weren't tempted with adultery or fornication. They weren't tempted with lying or stealing. What was Eve tempted with, man? You know what he was really using to tempt her with? You know what he was using to tempt her with? Not even that. You know what he really came with? See, let me show y'all something what he really came with. See, let me show y'all something. Right? Come over here to Revelation 12 real quick. While y'all can anybody on this stream tell me what was he really tempting her? What was he really trying to get her to do? Exactly. He calls her to question what the word said. You know what I'm saying? See, you have to sit back and look at that. When we're going to look at some of Yahushua's temptations, where you can see where he was tried, where examined or proved, this before he get crucified. You know what I'm saying? Causing him, when he would try to cause someone to go against what the text say. It's not even just part of what he just mentioned. It's the aspect of questioning the word. When you look at the world today, the main thing is, they tell you, you could be a homosexual, you could do this, you could do that. But at the end, they trying to call, no. Now, let me ask you a question. Sorry, I'm talking to you. Is playing what we do right now? So why would you do that? Then you know your brother's going to follow behind you. You need to set a better example. And close your legs. You got your business in the street. You know what I'm saying? And that's what is going on in the world now. It's to cause you to question. Because where question is, there is doubt. And the epistle of James say anything that is not of faith is sin. So when you don't believe, you already transgressed. See, that's sin in of itself if you do think it is not of faith. See, that's why Abraham would justify everything he did was of faith. He didn't do nothing doubting. That's why he say he didn't offend Alahym by moving in disbelief. Revelation 12 about verse 7. Revelation 22 tell you the first two people going in the lake are the fearful and the unbelieving. Ain't that what it say? What y'all gonna do with you if you don't believe in it? He can't do nothing with you. See, a lot of people feel like, oh, you a righteous woman, that'll get that man to follow the word. Or if you a righteous man, that woman gonna get in line. That's asinine. Because you can't get anybody to do anything. I don't care how righteous you are. That don't mean your wife gonna be. Your wife gonna be righteous because that's what she wants to be. See, she could pretend to be something and still go to hell because she don't believe in Yahuwah, so she won't be justified in the end. It say the just shall live by their faith. Your justification is through your faith. You got a lot of people amongst our people serving Yahuwah doing a lot of things that don't believe in their word. And don't believe in their word. They're just doing it because it's cultural. We got to return back to our roots. You better return back to your Alahym. That's what converting and shubing is, returning back to him. You don't need to return back to no culture. That man ain't never told you about return back to no culture. He ain't told you to return back to no heritage. He told you to return back to him. And the only way to get to Abba is through Yahushua. You ain't getting to him no other way. Try to do it another way, you're a thief and a robber, and you're still gonna be scarred. That's the thing you got to keep at the forefront of your mind. You're not returning back to no culture. You're not returning back to no heritage. You're not returning back to none of that. You're returning back to your Alahym, who life emanates from. You can return back to culture and still be condemned. You can return back to heritage and still be condemned. Not a single solitary man returning back to Alahym will suffer condemnation. Oh yeah, they definitely falling away at a fast pace because they never believed it. Our good brother Tavon asked me earlier today, like, what scripts are there to read or to point somebody to if they got weak faith or no faith? And it ain't really one singular script you can point to. It's really a amalgamation of the whole thing. Do you trust and believe what this man is saying or not? I've used this example from the time I started, and I'm going to use it now. It is no different. Every individual in their lifetime had somebody who they dealt with, who if they said something, you trusted them on their word that they were going to do exactly what they said they was going to do. You didn't need to see no evidence of it being done. You knew they were a man or woman of their word. You knew they were going to execute that. And dealing with Yahuwah is no different. If you know the manner of man you dealing with, then you know full well what it is. But see, we don't know the manner of man we dealing with. Men are not pointing you to Yahuwah. They're pointing you to yourself. So therefore, you never know him. So therefore, it's going to be impossible for you to trust him. Because all you know is you're an Israelite. All you know is keep the laws. The laws don't produce faith. Never were intended to, never will. Sooner we understand that, the better off we'll be. Nevertheless, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And there was a war in Shamahim. Michael and his angels fought against the serpent, and the serpent fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found anymore. And that great serpent was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Hashatan, which deceived the whole world. And he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Same thing. When Satan came at Job, what was he trying to get Job to do? Lose his faith. He said, he'll curse you to your face. He didn't say the man would go hit 3-4 hoes. He didn't say the man was going to go steal or worship another idol. He said he would damn the living Alahym to his face. He felt like if you take all this stuff from him, he ain't going to believe in you no more. That's why he say, dearly beloved, having all these promises. That's what he is attacking. That's what the adversary, see, a lot of people like Satan attacking my loins. See, Satan ain't attacking your loins, nigga. You just was a lustful bastard to begin with. Those are character issues you got with yourself. Correct yourself. Cleanse yourself. Purge yourself of these things. Stop putting that stuff on demons and devils and spirits. Nigga, that's you. That's your heart. That's what you got inside of you. You need to deal with what's going on with inside of you. You know what I'm saying? You know what another reason I believe too? This is my personal opinion. This ain't no book. This is my personal opinion. I feel like a lot of detriment for people trusting and knowing Yah is because they don't know they self. So how would you ever be able to recognize somebody else when you don't even know yourself? Do you know what I'm saying? That's why a while back I asked y'all, who are you? Ask yourself, can you answer? Do you know who you are? Because when you know who you are, you're confident and you secure. And when what anybody says about you or towards you is going to affect or move you off of doing whatever it is that you're doing because you know who you are. See, when you know your Alahym, then you know yourself in him. It doesn't matter what people around you say. You ain't swayed by the world. You ain't swayed by what they talking about. Because he's trying to get to deceive you, to get you to lose your faith. Her own love was a part of it, but you know, he was definitely trying to get her to question Yah's word. How many of y'all felt like somebody you could tell they were trying to come at you to question the word? You ever felt like somebody was coming at you to get you to question the word, man? You hear me over there while you're plumbing on your beard stream, trying to pluck out a gray hair? Any of y'all on there feel like you got somebody trying to come at you to question your faith? I done had dudes outright say I could get you to stop believing in Yahushua. Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody say, I'll get you to stop believing. Shoot, you might get your mammy to stop. You got me bent. You know what I'm saying? I know who I'm dealing with. I know who I'm dealing with. Got to know who you're dealing with. He's not going to be able to deceive you when you know. You got to realize Adam and Eve, they didn't know it. Because if they did, they'd have ate that tree of life. They wouldn't even consider what he was talking about. But where we was at, man. Come on back to Luke 22. We were talking about his temptations. Darius mentioned one when he tempted him in regards to turning the stones into bread. But there's other ones. The times that he was tempted where they wanted to make him king. The time in Mark chapter 3 when he wanted to slap the fire at everybody, when he was healing the man with the withered hand. When they came and tempted him in his regard with the coin with Caesar on it, trying to catch him up in his talk. Or when they came at him and tried to tempt him with the woman who'd been married to 7 brothers. See, you got to sit back and look at temptation as temptation ain't always the simple. And I done told y'all this before. It's not always the simple stuff that we look at. Sex. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing most niggas look at. I'm getting tempted with sex. Really, nigga? You've been in the word this long. You still tempted with your loins? You ain't got mastery over your loins yet? Ain't got mastery over your. How you gonna be able to stand before Alahym? You can't even control your loins. You got to be able to control your loins. I know if you can't control your loins, you can't control your mouth. Controlling of your loins is the first manner of self-discipline. You got to be able to discipline yourself. That's what the word is about. But as I've told you before, amongst natural-minded people, and shoot, what it seems like for most people in this word, those characteristics are not desirable. But your God is a God of discipline. Self-denial. I can do that right now, but I'm not. And look at the key point of what Mashak said. That's why I said to mention why he mentioned it when you were those who were with me in my temptation. He said, man, I was one who sit amongst you as one that served. He could have been tempted to say, you know what? I'm the son of Alahym, man. Y'all got to serve me. What you mean? You don't know who I am? He didn't do that one time. The people wanted to make him king. He slid out the way. He wasn't concerned with that. Also knowing that that's a temptation to get you to doubt the word. So let me show y'all something else in Romans 4 while I'm thinking about it. Because you know a lot of brothers getting ready to wrap up these feet. See, these feast days be temptation for niggas. They don't even be knowing it. Not for what they think it is. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, I believe. Is it 4? It's Romans 4. Might be Romans 14. It's Romans 14. Romans 14. Let me get back online. I didn't mention this here. Let me get back online. Make it 14 and 13. He said, let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or occasion of fall in his brother's way. I know and am persuaded by the Lord Yahushua, there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteem anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. But if thy brother be grieved with your meat, now walk you not charitably. Destroy him not with your meat, for whom Hamashiach died. Let not then your good be evil spoken of. For the kingdom of Alahym is not in meat and drink, but in righteousness and shalom and joy in the Ruach HaKadash. For he that in these things serve Hamashiach is acceptable to Alahym and approved of men. Let us therefore follow after the things which make shalom and the things wherewith one may instruct one another. See, that's a lot of things where niggas get it messed up at when these feasts roll around. See, you think these feasts about meat and drink, and that could be the temptation that he trying you with right then, because you think this is about. And you know, we're supposed to have a good time. And but he say, no, the kingdom of Alahym is about righteousness, shalom, and joy. What does that go to? What is righteousness? You know what I'm saying? But believing in Alahym, trust in Yahuwah forever. That's everlasting strength. The joy of Alahym is your strength. And shalom. These are the things that you ought to serve this man in, the way you could be able to endure temptation. There's a reason why you say watch and pray, that you enter not into temptation. Don't let yourself get tried, because you might get examined. That's why they say try yourselves, whether you be in the faith or not. Examine yourselves, or test yourselves according to the word. When you test yourselves according to the word, you'll see if the Son has separated you to the covenant. Or if you get tempted, you will see, behold, if you don't grab hold to life. Have you grabbed hold to the hem of this man's garment? He say 10 people out of the nations are come to a Yahudim and say, we going with you. We heard Alahym was with you. You know how much trust that got to take for you to do that? How many of y'all done grab hold to this man's garment and say, I'm going with you? I heard Alahym is with you. Let's grab that since I mentioned it. Zechariah chapter 8. I ain't got off topic too far. Just bear with me. I'll take this hair down. Wash my scalp. Zechariah 8. Make it about verse 20. Make it verse 18. And the Zechariah 8 and 18. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the word of Yahuwah of hosts came unto me, saying, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Yahuwah joy and gladness and cheerful feast. Therefore love, truth, and shalom. Look at this here, right? This man say you ought to love truth and shalom. Ought to love it. Let's see what the word truth is there, just for informational purposes. I don't think a lot of us really love that. Because see, that don't point you to Israel right now. See, niggas want everybody pointing to Israel. See, that don't point you to Israel. See, that points you to Yahuwah. That's what he told you to do. He told you to love truth and shalom. What do we got for truth? We got that Amah. He told you to love that Amah. And for those of you who don't know what that means, love that faithfulness, that sureness, that reliability, that stability, that continuance. That's why he told you that anybody who hear his words, he hearkening to a man who built his house on a rock. And your Alahym is the rock. And that rock came before us, and that rock was a Mashiach that poured out that spiritual drink which your forefather drunk from. He told you love that. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, it shall come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yahuwah and to seek Yahuwah of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahuwah of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before Yahuwah. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of all the languages of the nations, and shall even take hold of the skirt of him that is the Yahudim, saying, we will go with you. For we have heard that Alahym is with you. Now this is what he say the nation is going to do. Now are you seeking you who of hosts towards in Jerusalem? Are you ready to take hold of him who was a Yahudim and say, we going with you? I heard Alahym. See, let me see what the word is for heard. He said, I heard Alahym is with you. I heard Alahym is with you. See, ain't nobody taking hold of this man's skirt. They taking hold to your culture and your heritage. That's why you ain't going with it. And y'all know what it is. It's that good old Shema to hear. That's that word of faith. Shema, that's that word of faith. I heard the word and believed it. I'm going with you. That's why he told you repent and believe the gospel and be you saved. I'm going with you. That's why he told you to take up your stake and follow him. You gonna follow after him? Come on back to Genesis 22.
I said, sit down. Sit down, get under the cover. You gonna go to bed? Sit down and get under the cover. Get under the cover.
22 and 1. Well, they switch it up quick, don't they? I wonder what the type of things I was doing at that age. I definitely would be ill if you had to be able to have a flashback and see yourself at that time. I have no memory of it. And it came to pass after these things that Alahym did tempt Abraham and said, behold, here I am. He said, take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love. And if y'all didn't know, y'all remember this here, right? Why does it say this? Let me see for those who've been around why they remember. Why does it say that this is his only son? Was this his only son? You say it is? Why is this his only son? Only one begotten from his wife. Any of y'all know why it states right here, why it says, take now your son, your only son Isaac, get you into the land of Moriah and offer him therefore a burnt offering upon the mountain which I tell you of? I give y'all a second. Can anybody tell me why it say that's his only son? The Jeopardy theme song playing in my head. I seen Alex Trebek coming back. They thought he was finna die. The promised seed. Anybody else? That man been hosting Jeopardy for 36 years. That man been hosting Jeopardy about as long as I've been alive. You used to watch Jeopardy, man. It was oddly entertaining, wouldn't you say? I don't know, answer the nan question on the show. Entertaining nonetheless. Anybody else? Going once. Twice. 3 times a lady. So, yes, it's because he was the promised seed. Let's take a look at what the epistle of Hebrews confirms that. In Hebrews 11. That is correct as well, Carol and John. That is correct. We're just reading this here for those who may not be not aware of that. Willing to do his father's will. Mm-hmm. About verse 15, Hebrews 11. But your answer, sir, expounded a little further, which is not only was Isaac the promised seed, but that was the only child begotten of his wife, because he had another child. His name was Ishmael. And if you remember, we looked at it, right? It said the children of the flesh persecute the children of the Ruach as it is today. Nevertheless. And truly have they been, no, we don't need that. About verse 17, right on the head. By faith, this is Hebrews 11 and 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. There you see tried again. And that he had received the promises, offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac your seed shall be called. Shall your seed be called? Accounting that Alahym was able to raise him up even from the dead, from hence also he received him in a figure. So now we get into it even further. Because now we know Mashiach's about to be tempted. And he being about to be tempted to offer up his life. Now he know his father is offering him up. Now Yahushua, though, he the one who done received the promises. He received the promise of rulership. He received the promise to be the only begotten son. He received the promise to be resurrected from the dead. He received the promise to take captivity captive and give gifts unto men. His Abba already know I'm willing to offer up my son because I know he'll be resurrected from the dead. But also you see this same parallel with Isaac. This is his only son. See, the law makes it a point to make the reference. This is his only son. He ain't got no other son. It also lets you know that if you're not a child of the promise, you are not a son of Alahym. So dearly beloved, having these promises, you need to purge yourself from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach. Because instead of being tried, remember we didn't talk about that's that Nasar. So grab hold the life. Come on back to Genesis 22. This is where you see Abraham doing it in the fear of Alahym, showing forth his faith in Alahym, and how he perfected setting himself apart in that fear of Alahym by seeking out to do the will of his Alahym and Shamahim, and therefore manifesting the will of Alahym through the sacrifice of our Savior and Redeemer and King, Yahushua HaMashiach. So we look at verse 3 of the 22nd chapter of the book of Genesis. Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him. Isaac, his son, clave the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went into the place which Alahym had told him. And on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. Abraham said unto his young men, abide you here with the ass, and I and the lad will go up yonder and worship and come again to you. So, of course, you know, he took all of that. Let's drop to verse 7 because we're not going to read everything.
Come on, let's get in the bed then.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's definitely a very huge difference. That seed of Yasharal is definitely different than the seed of the promise. It's definitely different. Because you could be a seed of Yasharal and not be of the promise. Because that's what he mean when he say all Yasharal. A lot of Hebrews take that Hebrew 9 and mangle it. Not all Yasharal, and he ain't talking about that. He's clear what he's talking about in that epistle in Romans 9. He's talking about those who are not of the promise and those who are. He says it's not the children of the flesh who counted for the seed, but the children of the promise. He's clear in Romans chapter 9 who and what he is discussing. And he's discussing those who are of faith, those who have been chosen. And we probably going to go read it because that still takes us back to those whose feet are established by Alahym, because a good man's steps are ordered by Alahym. And we can sit back and see that with Joseph. We can see it with Jacob. And we did talk about standing in the law and dealing with our forefathers and how these were good men. Remember, it said Jacob was a plain man. That was a perfect man. God of what these niggas out here talking about, that was a perfect man. That's what the law say. That's what the book say. That's what y'all words say. What else I'm going to say? Nevertheless, verse 7, Genesis 22. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his Abba and said, my Abba. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, son, my son Alahym will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Let's look at burnt offering. Because if you're going to be a son of Alahym, you got to purge yourself. And you got to purge yourself with a little fire. Just a little fire. You know, everybody like a little hot, ain't it? Y'all niggas like hot wings, hot sauce, things of that regard. I don't care for anything hot because it comes out that way, and I just don't like it. So the word for burnt offering is olah. It's olah. You got your ayin, you got your lamad, and you got your hay. And you see that the man with raised arms will cause you to experience his teachings. And what did this man with raised arms teach you? 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 1. That's what that burnt offering pointing to. Because you got the ayin, so you got the eye, so you have an experience or you know something. You got the lamad, so you're being taught, or you're being disciplined, or you're being chastised. Because you could also use discipline. The man with raised arms will cause you to know discipline, which is a little bit better considering what I'm going to come with a little later. So we're going to use that to say that he's going to cause you to know discipline, no chastening, no correction. That's what that burnt offering is going to do. That's what purging, that's what a burnt offering is going to do. So let's look at something in 1 Peter chapter 4, and then we swing back. I could have quoted it verbatim, but I just want to pull it up because I want you to understand what the difference. See, like I say, it's a difference between the natural seed and the seed in heaven. It's a difference. For as much then as a Mashiach have suffered for us in the flesh, if he's suffering in the flesh, there's your chastisement, your discipline, your correction. Arm yourself likewise with the same mind, for he that suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin. So, Paul, let's bring up some stuff we didn't talk about before, because it's all stuff. Y'all, praise be to y'all. Stuff always come back that we didn't talk about recently, so you can get a different perspective of the same thing. Psalms 94. and 12. Matter of fact, make it 10. 94 and 10. Psalms 94 and 10. He that chastise the heathen, shall he not correct? He that teach man knowledge, shall he not know? Yahuwah know the thoughts of a man, they are vanity. Baruch is the man whom you chasten, O Yahuwah, and teach him out of your Torah, that you may give him rest from the days of adversity until the pit be digged for the wicked. He said, give him rest from the days of adversity. Now, you're a blessed man, this man chastening you. We just talked about this, but let's look at getting rest from your days of adversity. Let's first look at rest, and then let's look at adversity. So when we look at rest, we have shakat, and that's to be tranquil, to be quiet, to be undisturbed, to be at peace, to be inactive. So with that, you see you got Shan, Kuf, and Tet. So you see how the final light will surround you when you be in that rest. Or you can sit back and look at that light being the Ruach and how that surrounds you, or that's contained at you. And that because this is what's going to cause you to be quiet and be at rest. But when we look at adversity, and it's from the days of evil. So let's look at something in Revelation that goes right along with this. Men who were chastened and were getting rest from the days of their adversity, that you might have strength in your inward parts to endure all adversity. It's the same way it told you how Mashiach suffered in the flesh, and that you might hear that and be strengthened to follow suit and do the same, because that's what the children of the promise are going to do. And it's actually Revelation 6. I do it every single time, 6 and 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Allah and for the testimony which they held. Could we accurately say that Yahushua was slain for the word of Alahym and the testimony which he held? Let's take a look and see if he gave a testimony. Let's just take a look. I'm not sure if he gave one, so we need to look and see. John chapter 5. And then from John 5, John 8. And if he did give a testimony, who was he testifying of? John 5 and 30. I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of Abba which have sent me. I bear witness of myself. I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another that bear witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnessed of me is true. You sent unto John, and he bear witness unto the truth. But I receive not testimony from man, but these things I say, that you might be saved. He was a burning and shining light, and you were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. But I have greater witness than that of John. For the works which Abba had given me to finish, the same works that I do, bear witness of me, that Abba has sent me. So his two witnesses was his word and his actions, along with John's witness. And that was something what you were looking at earlier. I heard him say that there too, right? You look at John the Baptist, right? John the Baptist ain't worked now miracle there. I heard him when he said that though, but he made a strong point though. Was he lying? Shoot, I seen you in there. That's how I know you seen it. But I had to keep on moving. That jump played when I was scrolling while I was driving. But I agree with him though. Because if you was to take how some people look at stuff now, they wouldn't have believed him because he ain't doing no miracles with him. He ain't do now one, but that word he spit was extra strong. He was bearing witness of Yahushua the whole time. That's why he said, I got greater witness of John. He said, my Father in heaven bear witness of me, which in reality, that's his 2 witnesses. But then the word come through, that's his 3 witnesses. Yahushua ain't have to come through and say a word because John had already told him. He had already told you what it was. That's why you don't see him doing much preaching and pointing to himself who he was. He was letting his actions show forth that he was the one who the book was written about. That if they would have knew the word, that's why he said, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me for he wrote of me. He said, but if you don't believe his writings, you definitely ain't going to believe what I say. And you definitely not going to believe what I do. See, a lot of dudes these days, most high in Christ, man, if that man was walking this earth, man, they'd have crucified him again. You truth be told, you know what the first thing a lot of these niggas would have did? If you take it in our days and times, they'd have been trolling him for one, making memes, mocking him, trying to hope he got a Facebook page so they can disrespect him. I just seen dudes sitting by talking about somebody just came up with a new doctrine that kissing is a sin. And I'm like, why y'all even entertain that? You should have seen when a nigga said it and kept on scrolling. But see, the problem is you keep going to the circus. You keep entertaining clowns. So you giving them a voice. Because you feel like you got to tell him, oh, this nigga's wrong. You ain't got enough sense to know this nigga's stupid. This nigga stupid. Yeah, they be around here trolling and making mean. That nigga that's stupid. He don't know what he talking about. What's your Hebrew name? You ain't changed your name? Get your stupid butt out of here, my nigga. That's how dumb them niggas is. You think they will walk around talking about Daniel? That's not your Hebrew name. Belshazzar is not your Hebrew name. But you got your slave master's name. Come on, bro. All that John showed me is how broken inside we are, and we refuse to heal that, and you've allowed yourself to be artificially inflated because you know that you're an Israelite, and you haven't set forth the pathway of healing yourself, or even allowing the individual to assist you in that endeavor. You don't want to heal yourself. You want to stick your chest out. Look at me. You still damaged and broken on the inside. It shows through your conduct and your behavior. So why so, and truth be told, and it was the same thing back then as it is. A lot of sucker niggas too. You know, you just got some niggas, they just suckers, man, busters all the way around the ball. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing you can do about that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, keep it moving. Try to stay buster free. You know what I'm saying? But dealing with the word, you ain't never gonna be buster free because he said you're gonna have to deal with that. That's just the reality of the situation. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of the situation. But you know, what you gonna do? Come over here to John chapter 8. 8:12. All I can tell you is love Yahuwah in the faith of Yahushua, man, get a full reward. You heard the testimony. You done seen the bearing witness of the son of Alahym. Follow that. That's all I can tell you. Follow that. Man, you know you know what's funny to me, man? Like this here, right? You know my people's put this together for me, right? So I was in the gym, little white dude, he probably Jewish. That nigga walked up to me, he said, y'all, hey, why? He said, where can I get one of those? Yeah, like he knew what it said, you know what I mean? I was tripping though. I be rapping with a dude. I've been rapping with a dude on Merrill for a couple years, you know what I'm saying? Rocking cool, you know what I'm saying? But I walked in there with that on when he said, I ain't seen you. He said, oh, y'all ain't. I'm talking about whatever he had in mind, that joint went away when he seen that. You know what I mean? But then I was in Chick-fil-A and dude was like, what is that, man? That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But I'm mentioning that because dudes feel like stuff like this here is a conversation starter. But in reality, man, nobody don't care. You know what I'm talking about? Average person don't even know what they say. You know what I'm saying? Most people ain't finna stop you. You know what I'm talking about? It's just the same way dudes have, I seen somebody in fringes, I ran up on them. Shalom, brother. I can see you a friend. I'm not gonna run up on you and scare this man. You know what I'm saying? All I'm gonna look at is see is somebody seeking to serve y'all. Blessed be him. You know what I'm talking about? If I want to have a conversation with him, I have a conversation with him. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, man, people trying to go on about their day. Most of the time, all niggas really trying to do is size a nigga, see what doctrine he in so they can argue with him later. That would nigga don't even really be happy that you're seeing somebody, regardless of what you may follow, believe, or not. that somebody got a heart set that they say that's their desire to serve y'all. That's what should make you happy. Not that they know they're Israelite, right or wrong. That's what I think when I seen him. Like, regardless of whatever he being taught, that's irrelevant. Shoot, may see y'all in the end. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga like, I found an Israelite. Nigga, you just trying to impart whatever nonsense you got going on to that man. Leave that man alone, go on about your business if you ain't got no good intentions. You raggedy bastard. You raggedy bastard. John 8:12. I just felt like sharing that. Ain't nothing wrong with it if you want to talk to him, man. I just leave people alone. Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I'm the light of the world. He that follow me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. The Pharisees therefore said unto him, you bear record of yourself. Your record is not true. Yahushua answered and said unto them, though I bear record of myself, yet my record is true. For I know where I came and where I go. But you cannot tell where I come and where I go. See, this is what a lot of our people are doing right now. You judge after the flesh. I judge no man. And yet if I judge, my judgment is true. For I'm not alone, but I and Abba that sent me. It's also written in your Torah that the testimony of two men is true. I am one that bear witness of myself, and the Father that sent me bear witness of me. Then said unto him, where is your Abba? Yahushua said, answer, you neither know me nor my Abba. If you had known me, you should have known my Abba also. See, that cut them niggas to the core. They heard that. They were out. See, if you was a faith, you would have known my Abba too. But see, the key point is that bearing witness. He come back to the book of Revelation. Because see, that's what these men got killed for. Were bearing witness. These niggas ain't out here bearing witness of nothing. Nothing but some nonsense. Back to Revelation 6 and 9. Nothing but some nonsense. I think they're supposed to go with most selfish, ignorant, no good, slandering, duplicitous bastards you'd ever want to encounter. And see, the word part is a lot of these niggas don't think that nigga know you full of crap. But niggas know. 9 times out of 10, it ain't getting caught on because you running with niggas just as flawed and evil as you is. That would really be going on. That's why these niggas can turn their head to a nigga sin and point out a Christian's, usually a famous one's on real quick. Ready to run, talk about your people celebrating Easter and Christmas. You around here beating your meat, want to blame it on the unclean spirit. The unclean spirit in your brain, nigga, you nasty buzzer, put the lotion down. Stop damaging all your socks. I just seen a woman well, she don't even serve y'all no more. She had y'all the name. She started that way. She was like this. I gave myself 3 orgasms a day before I started the day. I said, good grief, woman. You's a nasty butt. And it was a nigga right there to nobody know a man. And they said, can't nobody love you like you love yourself. You big grown rusty nigga in your 30s getting up beating your meat early in the morning. Well, if you gotta get up and do that, you need to go and get your wife, man, because that's not good. Word or no word, man. You around here skinning yourself early in the morning. Well, you need to find you a wife, man, because that's not good. That's not good right there, man. That's not good. You get to a certain age, man, that's what you do in your teenage years. Maybe your early 20s. You in your 30s, man? You killing yourself? Come on, man. These niggas be ready to knock down. I seen a dude say, this woman say she a virtuous woman, been married 3 times in 4 years. How? How is this acceptable? Niggas just turn their head, man. Niggas don't even see it. Niggas know niggas ain't married. Niggas cool with niggas around here I'm talking about defiling themselves all across the board. What's going on? Where is the fear of Alahym, the respect and reverence of this man that will stop you from committing such barbaric acts? I say barbaric because this is carnal as you can get. You know what I'm saying? But you know your culture. See, we all fall short, brother. So you ain't falling short, nigga. That's what you own. See, there's a difference. That's what you own. See, when the Hamashiach used to talk about certain things and they say because the Pharisees were covetous, they would get mad because that's what they was own. So when he talking against these certain things, they mad because that's what they own. See, people are only going to get mad because that's what type of time they own. See, if you own some adulterous type time, then that's going to offend you if somebody speak against it. If you duplicitous, you know what I'm saying? If you's a snake, a slanderer, a talebearer, as the text say, seeking to cause discord and strife amongst men, you know what I'm talking about? For your own personal gain, because that's why people do that. Some people do it because they drumming out and they like the chaos, but some people do that for their own personal gain. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga, if somebody talk against that, you're going to be offended because that's what you own. See, if you not own that, that's not going, because it ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? If somebody was to come to you talking about smoking crack, you going to get offended they talk about smoking crack? You don't smoke crack, so they ain't got nothing to do with me. You getting tight. You got some nigga get tight, nigga tell you, nigga, go wash your butt. Because you got bruises where nigga don't want to bathe. Your nuts funky, your coochie stank, your drawers got crust in them. Go clean them. Oh man, that nigga think he this and that. Because that's what you own. See, that's what you own. That's why you offended. Because if you was on that and it cut you, then you have what it says in 2 Corinthians 7. You would have godly repentance. You would be moved to godly sorrow. And you was like, you know what? I'm not going to participate in that manner of behavior anymore. Even when you see Yahushua and they say he was exceedingly sorrowful unto death, he didn't have nothing to repent from. But godly sorrow worketh repentance unto salvation, which is not to be repented of. And he manifested that and he ain't do nothing wrong. These niggas be caught, they be dead wrong. You understand? Dead wrong. Dead wrong. Ain't got no sorrow, no shame whatsoever. And you got people enabling them in it. It ain't right. Revelation 69. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the souls of them that were slain for the word of Alahym and for the testimony which they held. And when they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Yahuwah, Qadash and true, do you not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given to every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season. Because remember, right? He told you should rest till you be dig from the days of adversity, till the pits be digged for the wicked. So you can rest from the days of evil. See, after this here, we're going to go to John chapter 16. And then white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Yeah, sit back and look at it. You willing to do that? You willing to go that extra mile? I'm going the extra mile right now, man. But see, come over here to Revelation, John 16. I'm about to say Revelation 16. That's completely inaccurate. Completely. John chapter 16, man. Make sure that's what I want. Because it might be 14. No, that's what we want. 29, 16, 29. You know, I say a lot of things sometimes they be trying to, you know, might sound funny. Might be a little humorous. But it really calls you to sit back, pause, and think. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of stuff go on, man. Then, of course, on top of it, you know, you got a lot of people who talk in this word and don't have a single solitary idea in heaven and in earth what they talking about. See this right here? See this right here? You see these words right here? These are words of life right here. These are words of life. These are words of life. These are very powerful words right here. Very powerful words. And in the wrong hands, that junk like selling somebody bad dough. You know what I'm saying? You're going to bust somebody, hit them, and they're going to be mad with you. You're going to sell a nigga a bad bag of heroin when they're going to OD. I don't know. They take that back because if nigga OD on some heroin, they're going to come back and buy some more because they're going to know that's good dope. And that's nigga die from the drug. That make people want it. 16 and 29. His disciples said unto him, lo, now speak you plainly and speak no proverb. Now we are sure that you know all things and need not that any man should ask you. By this we believe that you come forth from Alahym. Yahushua answered them, do you now believe? Behold, the hour come, yea, and is now come, that you shall be scattered. Every man to his own and shall leave me alone, yet I am not alone, because Abba is with me. So I want y'all to understand something what he just said. No matter if you got a whole cavalcade of people with you or everybody leave you, if you know you in Yahushua and Yahushua is in you, you ain't never alone. That's why you better trust in Yahuwah forever. For trusting Yahuwah is everlasting strength. See, we were just talking about this here the other day, man. It's real talk. I know why a lot of people fall away from Yahuwah, but I keep saying the same things. A lot of people falling away. They falling away because they don't know their God. They don't know their husband. So you can't have that connection with someone who you don't know. It's going to be impossible for you to have that connection with someone who you don't know. See, now we're talking, because we back about this particular matter. And I'll probably mention it again tomorrow. See, most women, when they like somebody, want to be with somebody, they want to have an emotional connection with them. If a woman has an emotional connection with you, you will be highly attractive to her. You know what I'm saying? Her attraction level for you is going to be very, very high if she is able to connect with you on an emotional level, because that's how women are wired and that's what they desire. You know what I'm saying? I think men have a desire for it, but it's just not at the top of the priority list as it is for women. But if a man really likes a woman, he's going to be more open and desirable to do that. And having that emotional connection is actually these two parties actually opening themselves up to where they know one another. You know what I'm saying? That they weaknesses, vulnerabilities, strengths, likes, dislikes, all that type of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? So when you know this individual, your bond and connection with this individual will be very, very strong. Well, when we turn around and we look at the scripts, we look at the word of Yahuwah, the book of Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? It's a book about him. When we look at the days and times in which we live in, and I know I mentioned this ad nauseum, but it's still relevant to this very moment of which we speak. Yahushua said point blank period, if you would have known me, you would have known my Abba also. But he said, you don't know my Abba because you don't know me. Well, what? He said, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me because he wrote of me. He said, but if you don't believe his writings, you're not going to believe my words. So you don't believe his writings, you don't know Alahym to begin with. So when you come across him and he bearing witness to what was already written, you ain't knowing him either. So you never know Yahuwah. So what are these people teaching us? Keep the laws. I've heard people say you need to repent as a repenting Hebrew Israelite. Where did you get that from? So what ends up happening? People use that 1 John out of context, and you not knowing Yahuwah for yourself. So when the adversity comes, the evil comes, the tribulation comes, you walk away because you never knew this man. So you never had a bond, or you never built your house on that rock. So therefore, you're going to crumble. See, what I mean, if I didn't know Yahuwah for myself, certain situations and circumstances might have caused me to say, you know what, I don't want to do this. But because I know Yahuwah for myself, I know him. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to roll. You have to know who he is. When you know who you is, you'll have a connection to him. That's why I say, he that had keep my commandments and loves me, and our Abba make a abode with me. And we'll make, and he said, me and my Abba will come and make our abode. I'll come dwell with you. You understand? And remember, his commandment is to believe on him whom he has sent. All the other stuff gonna fall into place as far as Torah is concerned. This is what's going to allow you to endure. That's why he say they don't have no root of themselves by and by. That's why they're offended. You don't know him. The gospel is what allows you to know him. And everything else falls into place. 16 and 33. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have shalom. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. So out here in this world, you're going to have a little trouble. You're going to have a little trouble. You're going to have a little trouble. He said, but be of good cheer. I done overcame it. So that overcoming allows you to be able to overcome. Because who is he that overcome the world? But he that believed that Yahushua is the son of Alahym. This is our victory, even our faith. Come on back to Genesis chapter 22. And see, how does that relate to what we in Genesis 22? Because Abraham believed and he overcame. Had a little trouble. They overcame. He said he'll provide you a burnt offering. So now you can see how this man will raise arms, allows you to know correction or chastisement. And you want to know that, because if you're without chastisement, then you're a bastard and not a son. You got to make sure you're a son and daughter of Alahym. That's why I say come out from among them and be you separate. And touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. If you want to be a son and daughter of Alahym, for him to receive you, you got to come out from amongst them. Because then if you know Alahym for yourself, Satan can't come through and cause you to doubt Alahym's words. See, individuals doubt his word. Like Hashatan called Eve to doubt. She said the word back to herself, but she says, it'll make me wise. He said, I won't surely die. She doubted. She doubted. That's all he was coming with when he was tempting Yahushua, to try to get him to doubt. That's all he trying to do. Listen here, man, let me tell you something. I heard this say a long time ago. Man, say all Satan trying to do is destroy the word without touching it. So how can he destroy? Because we know the book say the word endure forever. So how can you destroy the word without touching it? By destroying the faith of the people. See, some people say, oh, you worship a book. See, that's stupidity. Nobody worships the book. How could you reference a book and bow down to a book? We worship and reverence the man whose words are in the book. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Gotta trust in your Alahym. How else you gonna be saved? How you gonna be justified? Verse 9, Genesis 22. And they came to the place which Alahym had told them of, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood. By all means, sir, by all means. In order, and bound Isaac his son and laid him upon the altar upon the wood. Then, of course, he stretched forth his hand, and let's drop down. Abraham stretched forth his hand, took the knife to slay his son. The angel of Yahuwah called unto him out of heavens and said, Abraham, Abraham, and he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For I know that you fear Alahym, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son. He said, Now I know you're fearing. He said, Now I know it. Now let's look at that. Let's see if it's your rock we're going to find for fear. He said, Now I know you fear Alahym. Are you a little hot? A little warm under the collar? And that's the word Yerah when we mentioned. He feared, he had a reverence for Alahym. Same way as saying in Hebrews that Yahushua was heard because he feared. A lot of people sit back and ask yourself that question, man. How many of y'all will offer up your own? You ain't had no child. How many of y'all will offer up your son? But remember, it's the faith and trust that he had, because he said, I know he'll raise him from the dead. He said, in Isaac, my seed going to be called. So I'm not concerned with that. That's somebody who know they got a promise. You know what I'm saying? They got a covenant of shalom with him to the point where they say, you know what? I'm going to definitely make sure that I'm going to sanctify myself in peace. And I'm going to fear my Alahym. I'm going to offer up my only son. He said, you fear Alahym. You ain't even withheld your son, your only son from me. And see, you know what a lot of people problem is? See, let's go back to that. He said he feared Alahym. He said he wouldn't withhold his son. I mentioned this the other day. Let's take a look. Matthew 19. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look. See, a lot of these niggas ain't gonna give up none. You niggas don't want to give up your weed. You niggas don't want to give up your lying. You niggas don't want to give up your stealing, your fornicating, your adultery. You definitely don't want to give up your idol. You don't want to give up your lust or nothing. 19 and 16. But he said he suffered in the flesh to cease from sin. Why you think this man tell you take up that stake? What you gonna give up? You know what I'm saying? These bald-headed hoes don't want to give up their hair hats. You know what I'm talking about? They dog back. You know what I'm talking about? You don't want to get that up info. What? You let them people tell you you was that ugly that you felt like you had to walk around here and look like a white woman? You know what I'm saying? You sit back and say you a woman of Alahym. Why you even want to do the stuff that the people in the world do? Why you want to look like a hoe in the world? How that sound? How that even work? He said, come out from among them and be you separate. And you still trying to look like how? How? Why do we even have to work so hard to convince people that the hair that Yah gave them is beautiful? I seen a news story the other day, and that particular newscaster, that's one of my cousin good friends. How she finally said, you know what, I'm gonna stop wearing these wigs and all these things to cover up my hair. Say she wanted to do it for her daughter's sake. I respect it. But it was funny how she stated that she had to go ask Mr. Charlie, could she do it? That's the sad part, that Mr. Charlie is telling you, you can't be successful in my system with your hair. And that ain't even clicked in your brain that maybe I shouldn't want to be successful and hold a system in so much high regard that's teaching me to hate myself, which in turn is going to teach my daughter to hate herself, which in turn is going to have my son think that self-hatred image that my daughter is projecting is attractive. Because these are all the women that he got to choose from. That's what they look like. So then in turn, he gonna go and turn his head when his wife want to turn around and put a hair hat on their 8-9-year-old daughter. Because now you got little girls with weave and all that type of stuff in their hair and lashes in their face. Because of you. Because you don't love yourself enough to say, I will not. Because my daughter's not gonna have this image of herself. I will not. Because you want to conform to what these people got going on. Because I'm talking about when I heard her say she had to ask for, how you got to ask for permission to wear what grow out your scalp? You don't realize how sad that, like, just sit back and look at it, man. I can never say put the word to the side, but compartmentalize for a moment. In order to operate in a system, these people, you had to ask for permission to wear what grows out of your scalp. That should offend every single one of us. Why should I have to ask for permission to use what grows out of my scalp? And you can't even see the underlying tones of white supremacy, but also to cause you to hate the image of Alahym of which you were created in. Every last one of us, no matter what you look like, don't matter how your hair grows. You created an image of Alahym, and they told you that image is ugly, and you can't operate in my system with it because I want you to teach your children to conform to what it is that I got going on. And this is why Proverbs 3:30 tell you not to envy your oppressor and choose not any of his ways. Nevertheless, now, did you see that article, sir? About Melanie Lawson not wearing her wig. She actually named her wig Michelle Obama. Yeah. She said she
I
went.
see her not wearing it. I ain't reading nothing into it, but watching stuff.
Yeah, she did a little story about it on their show, and then they put it on Yahoo. That she said, you know what? Cause I say that's my cousin friend, and on the weekend when she be around them or they go out, she don't have that wig or no weave on. You know what I'm saying? Like if you catch her in the street, she ain't got it on. She only got it on when she's on TV. You know what I'm talking about? And she was like, man, I'm tired of doing that junk. I got a little girl. A little girl came to school with that wig on, say you embarrassing me. You know what I'm talking about? She was shocked and appalled. Daughter say, you scaring me. You embarrassing me. Take that monkey stuff off. You embarrassing us. You know what I'm talking about? And then you actually see her hair. Her hair is like very, very nice. You know what I'm saying? And she got a head full of it. Got you around here with that grandma wig on. You know what I'm talking about? But what shocked me is when she actually said I had to go to my bosses and ask. And they said, go for it. You rock. Shoot, if you would have told me no how to put in my notice. You know what I'm talking about? No, they really got it because she said from the Jump Street, they tell you that in the new business, like, you can't wear your hair. Like, you got to put a hair hat on. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? They want to be in that field. They know if they say no, their opportunities to be in that line of work is going to be next to zero. So what do? They conform. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying the women on the news or the impetus of women wearing their hair like that, but because so many women do it, they get it. Now, most men, they don't care. They didn't want to hit something. You know what I'm talking about? But at the same token, if that's what y'all into, guess what that dude gonna do? He gonna pay for you to get that weed. You know what I'm talking about? He'll buy them lashes. This gonna make you happy if he can continue being with you or getting whatever benefit he feel like he derived from being with you. You know what I'm saying? Which in turn causes generation after generation of young men to continue that cycle. You know what I'm talking about? But part of it is self-hate. Part of it is conforming to operate in their system. Because y'all done seen too many news stories about how some of these workplaces don't want black women to wear their natural hair. You're the only race of people on the earth who they tell you the hair that grows out of your scalp is unacceptable in their workplace. that should offend you to the point of maybe I need to reconsider my place in this society and how I'm operating in it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're telling you the image of which you were created in is unacceptable. But if more black women say, you know what? We coming in here with our curls, our fros, our locks, whatever the case may be, our braids. Shalom, Brother Dennis. Or your company not going to be able to run because we not coming. I put you at a disadvantage for a little while, but I got to prove a point. But most women don't want to do that because you want the opportunities that are derived from it, especially a lot of our women who operate in the masculine frame. But we're going to leave that alone and continue down the road that we're dealing with. Matthew 19 and 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? He said unto him, Why call you me good? There is none good but one, that is Alahym. But if you will enter into life, keep the commandment. He said unto him, Which? Smart mouth nigga. Yahushua said, You shall do no murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your Abba and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said unto him, All these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? See, you know where a lot of people get themselves in trouble? And he would have stopped right there, he'd have been good. But he said, I've been doing all that. What I'm lacking? Yahushua said unto him, If you will be perfect, go and sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in Shamahim, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. See, we look at that, right? And the only thing we look at is that he was rich. Not really looking at that. He didn't want to get, not only did he not want to give up what he had, he didn't want to come suffer and follow the Lord. Now, none of us could really say what we would say if this man walked up to you and told you, come follow me. You know what I'm saying? But that's a strong thing he said, right? He said, now notice what he told him, right? If you will be perfect. So if you want to be Shalem, you want to be Tamaim, you want to be Tom, you want to be a man of integrity, of innocence, of uprightness, come on and follow me, come. See, he couldn't give up what he had. He didn't want to sacrifice what he, and you ain't got to be rich for that, because see, we're going to look at a couple of men. They wasn't wealthy men. But he told them, come follow him. He wasn't rich men. Come over here to the book of Matthew, Ashamai. Excuse me. Matthew chapter 4. Everybody he told to follow him wasn't rich. He said, if you'll be perfect, come follow him. 4 and 17. 4 and 17. And after that, Matthew chapter 8. We'll lose a shortened version of it. And from that time Yahushua began to preach and say, repent, for the kingdom of Shamahim is at hand. Yahushua walking by the Sea of Galilee saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And straightway they left their nets and followed him. And going on from thence, he saw two other brethren, James the son of Zebedee, John his brother, in the ship with their fathers mending the nets, and he called them. And they immediately left the ship and their father and followed him. See, that takes us right back to what we were looking at in Genesis 12, Wednesday, right? Forsaking everything they had, they came and followed him. They ain't heard no promise. All they knew is they was willing to give up everything. That man said they left their daddy and all in the boat. Left them all in the boat. Let's go to Matthew 9. Don't worry about Matthew 8. Let's go to Matthew 9. Left Pop right in the boat. 9 and 9. And this is again going to people who've been called. And Yahushua passed forth from thence, and he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom. And he said unto him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass as Yahushua sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eat your master with publicans and sinners? And when Yahushua heard that, he said unto them, they that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. But go you learn what that means, and I will have mercy and not sacrifice. For I come not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. So you notice when he calling you and he telling you to, that young man said that he kept all the commandment from his youth up. But yet he called him to follow him because he hadn't been made perfect by faith. So even in that, he was still a sinner. Wasn't going to get the justification that he needed. He wasn't going to be able to get it. Come back to Genesis chapter 22. We're finna get ready to transition to the next one. And dealing with purging, trying, and all that good old stuff. It's the same token. Y'all know the parable. When he told dude, let me go back and bury my father. Let the dead bury the dead, cuz. Let the dead bury the dead. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what a lot of our problems are. We don't want to let the dead bury the dead. The man calling you to come follow him and perfect yourself. He said, come out from among them and be ye separate. He calling you out to be separate. And you talking about, I got to go bury my dad. I need to go catch these fish over here, man. I'm sitting at receipt of custom. I got to finish taking the taxes. And the people got up and left, man. They say, we ain't got nothing. I'm not beholden to any of this stuff. I'm out. I'm going with you. I've heard Alahym is with you. Is there anything left in Genesis 22 that we can use? Genesis 22 and 14. Abraham called the name of the place Yahuwah Yireh. You know, I actually seen a church that was named that today too. Where I seen that at? Where did I see that at? I want to say I seen that off Sesame. But don't quote me on that. As it said this day, in the mount of Yahuwah, it shall be seen. The Alahym and Yahuwah called unto Abraham out of Shamahim the second time and said, by myself have I sworn, saith Yahuwah, because you have done this thing and have not withhold your son, your only son. That in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. What do you think he mean right there when he said he'll possess the gate of his enemies? You got an idea over there, sir? Any of y'all on the stream got an idea? What does he mean when he say you'll possess the gate of your enemies? This is what he promised them now. What could this mean? Anybody got an idea? What could this mean? Possessing the gate of your enemies. What is he talking about? Who are his enemies? What is he referring to? Very well. They very well may be out of date. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned, computer man. So hard. Now, the word for gate, if you're not aware, is the entrance, public meeting place, gate of a palace, royal castle, temple, court, or tabernacle. Also heaven. The word is Shahar, Shan, Ayin, and Rosh. How can we look at this as possessing the gate of his enemies? If you're not sure, just bear with me, because now we shall transition, and we will show you from the obeying the voice how the gate of his enemies shall be possessed, because this is what he has promised him. And he swore on his name that this is what would happen. And when he said, your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. Let's look at seed real quick. You could get Proverbs 23 and 23 while I'm pulling that out for you. Pause. You know what I'm talking about? So let's look at that. Of course, that's Zerah, seed, offspring, good old Zayin, Rosh and Ayin. You know, getting to know the fruit of the chief, the fruit of the higher. It's known who his seed is. Proverbs 23 and 23. Right over there, man. We said that like you had been drinking, man. You say, what you been like this here? The nigga been right here slipping on that Patron. You used to like Patron in your day? So they say you don't like that white get you hype, man. That brown keep you down. Make that Proverbs 23 and 22. Hearken unto your Abba that begat you. Despise not your mother when she is old. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that beget a wise child shall have joy of him. Your Abba and your mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice. So he told you to buy the truth. Don't sell it. When you look at buy, it's kana. It means to acquire something, to buy it, to possess it. Kuf, noon, hey. We're not worried about that. It's also the acquiring of knowledge and wisdom. Also mentions of it Alahym creating and redeeming his people, of Eve or requiring. So when you look at the fourth of possessing, because this word is used for bought and also possessing, it's taking a possession of something. Or Alahym, pause. Let's just do this like this. In the book of Exodus, by the 15th chapter, it said the people whom you have purchased, to the people whom you have purchased and passed over. So you're looking to, this is Alahym redeeming his people. So he's telling you to buy or acquire the truth, possess the truth. Remember, he told you to love him in truth and shalom in Zechariah. So you should know truth is a moth. You know, that's your olive, that's your bean, and that's your top. And remember, we already mentioned what that means. But now I tell you to get you some wisdom. You know that's coke, mom. Now, first we'll deal with sale, and that's macaw. To be given over unto death, to sell oneself. Now we have mean, kaf, and rosh. So you don't need to sell yourself over to death or to sell yourself over to sin. Once you've bought faith, you don't need to sell yourself to sin. Don't need to do it. And of course, with wisdom, you know that's coke, mom. Your skill in war, your shrewdness, your prudence. We'll just go ahead and spell it out for you anyway. You know you got your cot. You know you got your car. You know you got your mean. You know you got your hay. Now, instruction is, we talked about this word not too long ago, it's musar, and that's discipline and correction and chastening. You got your mean, you got your ooh, you got your samak, you got your rosh. And then, of course, understanding is bana, or bana, which is your discernment, your understanding. That's your bot, your yard, your noon, your hay. So these are the things that they tell you that you need to acquire. When you have these dearly beloved promises and you begin to purge yourself from all the filthiness of the flesh and ruach, and the purging of the flesh and ruach, you who are willing, is what we'll deal with on tomorrow in more greater detail. You perfect Qadash in the fear of Alahym. Well, in order to perfect Qadash, you need these three things. You need this truth. You need this kokma. Well, you need this, I didn't even write it down. You need the amath. You need your kokma. You need your Musa, and you need your Binah. You cannot perfect Qadash without that faith, without that wisdom, Without that chastening and without that understanding or that discernment, you're not going to be able to do it. He told you that you need to buy that or cannot and possess that and acquire. But the key thing, what we really want to discuss is this McCall. Don't sell yourself over to death. Don't sell yourself over to that. Now, when you look at that meme, you got chaos, you got the work of chaos, and you got the chief who works chaos. Because when you sell, he telling you to sell it not. Don't sell yourself over to the devil. Because he the chief that work chaos. He the one who do that. See, let's take a look at something. Corinthians tell you that you know that Alahym is not the author of confusion. All Satan is trying to do is get you to sell your faith, to sell your wisdom, to sell your discipline, and to sell your discernment and understanding. That's all he's trying to get you to do. He has many tactics and tricks that he tries to get you to do it. But at the end of the day, that's what he's trying to get you to do. You have to be wise enough to understand that and see that. Now, like I mentioned to you before, Satan tried to get Job by thinking, you know what? If we take all this stuff from Job, he'll curse Alahym to the face. You gotta come over here to 2 Corinthians real quick. A statement that is made about that no good serpent, that rotten, no good bastard called the devil. See, a lot of people give the devil, they assign the wrong things to this cat and what he is actually trying to do. Because he's trying to get you to lose your faith. And for most people, he is highly effective. Highly effective. And this is why you have to know your Alahym for yourself. When you know those promises is what allows you, honestly, to begin to believe on your Alahym. Because if you don't believe on your Alahym, then how easy would it be to deceive you? And don't forget, we're not forgetting about that 2 Corinthians chapter 2, about verse 10. We're not forgetting about how he gonna possess this, his seed gonna possess the gate of his enemies. We working towards that. Bear with me. Make it 2 and 5. 2 Corinthians 2 and 5. Now this is dealing with forgiveness. This is what Paul write about. He said, but if any have caused grief, he have not grieved me, but in part I might not overcharge you all. Sufficient to such a man as this punishment, which was inflicted of many. So that contrast, you ought rather to forgive him and comfort him, lest perhaps such a one should be swallowed up with overmuch sorrow. Wherefore I beseech you that you would confirm your love towards him. For to this end did I write, that I might know the proof of you, whether you be obedient in all things. Now, y'all already know the text say you ought to forgive one another. He told you in Luke 17, offenses must come. You know what I'm saying? Told you in the Torah, don't bear no grudge against your neighbor. So forgiveness is in the Torah, period. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't be no issue for you to forgive somebody if they wronged you. A lot of people can't do that for whatever reason. There's a multitude of reasons for people. It's usually individual in nature. It's not a broad, sweeping set of information. But one thing is sweeping on that. That's a sign of an evil heart. I can tell you that, according to this word. If you can't forgive, your heart is evil. Reason why we say it's evil, because that wouldn't confirm your love towards them if you couldn't forgive them. That's why you see a lot of stuff that a lot of brews do. Somebody offend them and they got a problem with them, they won't step to them and holler at them, because you don't really want to step to it and resolve the situation, because it will force you to have to forgive somebody, and it ain't in your heart to do it. So you come up with excuses on not to do it, because you don't really want to have that reconciliation. So you want individuals to think things are straight when you really got an issue. So when it comes to the head, you ain't really got to reconcile with them, and you'll make them look like they the party who wrong when you was the one with the rallies the whole time. You know what I'm saying? See that, and that's what they did to Amashah. They came and crossed him and made it look like that he was the one wrong when they was the one with the rallies. But he said, I will forgive them. They don't know what they doing. But they was the one with the rallies the whole time. They the one slandered the man, disrespected the man, lied on the man, blasphemed against the man, so they could kill him. Now, of course, he knew all things, but imagine if he wasn't the son of Alahym. He wouldn't have known as what these people had going on. This is how they felt. They never expressed it. They were just plotting, all because of things that he was saying. He said, they won't come to the light. He said, it's not me you hate, but the world, because I testify of it, that their deeds are evil. And see, that was the problem. See, we're talking about things that were contrary to the word, and they were mad, because that's what type of time they was on. You have to sit back and look at that when you're dealing with the word. If an individual has not directly offended an individual, then 9 times out of 10, they totally talking about against a particular type of time that person is on. So now they're offended and they don't want to do with the person. So now they got to figure out a way to get him from around there, the same way that the scribe did to Hamashiach to get him from around there. Because he was talking against what type of time they was on. And what were they going around to do? Trying to get the people to sell the truth, to sell the wisdom, to sell the instruction, to sell the understanding. Give yourself over to death. These are not the things that your Alahym. He said, this persuasion has not come from him that called you. Who has hindered you that you run? Who's hindered your running your race? Who's done this? Nevertheless, he said, to whom you forgive anything, I forgive also. For I forgive anything to whom I forgave it for your sakes, for I forgave it in the person of Hamashiach, lest Hashatan should get an advantage of us. We are not ignorant of his devices. We know his plots and plans. And his plots and plans is to get you to give up your faith and turn on one another. That's why he say you ought to forgive one another, lest he get an advantage. Now it's an adversarial situation. You have to pay attention to that. When you see a multitude of adversarial situations, you have to look at who is sparking the adversarial situation. Why are they sparking the adversarial situation? What is there to gain from the adversarial situation? And then you will see if one is operating according to the things that be a man or the things that be an Alahym. Because I'm not going to sit here and say because you operate in the adversarial fashion that you got the devil in you. Remember, Hashatan means adversary. So you're acting like an adversary. Yahuwah is not an adversary. So he doesn't go out looking to be adversarial. He'll be adversarial in regards if you come at him, but he's not looking. You can go through the text. You're not going to see him purposely being an adversary to people. I'm mentioning that in regard because when Peter was like, that'll never happen to you, they would say, get behind me, adversary. You're an offense to me. You say for the things that be a man and not the things that be an Alahym. And when you see an individual operating consistently in an adversarial fashion, it's because they're carnal. And if they're carnal, 9 times out of 10, they're trying to get you to doubt your faith in Alahym and the word Alahym to get on whatever type of time that they own. You got to have the wisdom. See, that's coke. See, that's wisdom. That's skill in war. Since I mentioned when you had that caught, you got that separation. So you see the man will raise harm's work of blood will separate you. That's what wisdom will do. It'll separate you and it'll cause you to know what is what. When you have wisdom, then you'll try every ruach, whether it be an Alahym or not. You'll be wise. You have discernment. You know how to move. You know how to move. You know what to do. We already read where Yahushua showed his wisdom when he heard them talking about why you sit down with sinners. He says, not them that sick need a physician or them that are whole. He said, but if you know what that meant, I'd have mercy and not sacrifice. Leave me alone. Let's look at another instance of where he used a little bit of whip. I'm going to just open up, see where it falls. Come over here to Mark chapter 12. That's where it fell. 12 and 23 I surmise. Well, 12 and 15, 12 and 13. We'll just use it there. That's what it opened to. That's what we'll use. Matter of fact, 11 and 27, I use both because I like both of them. I just like that particular narrative. They came again to Jerusalem as he was walking in the temple, and there come to him the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, and they say unto him, by what authority do you these things? And who give you this authority to do these things? Now, pause. If we were dealing with the time frame that we living in right now, cats would have argued with it. These dudes right now, they would have argued. They would have had to go through a whole spiel about who gave them authority, who you think you is, we this. They would have argued with him. But let's look at the wisdom of Yahushua. Yahushua answered and said unto them, I will also ask of you one question. Answer me, and I will tell you by what authority do I these things. The immersion of John, was it from Shamahim or men? Answer me. They reason with themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say, why then did you not believe him? But if we shall say of men, they feared the people, for all men counted John that he was a prophet. And they answered and said unto Yahushua, we cannot tell. Yahushua answering say unto them, neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. See, that was wisdom right there. So you coming at me asking me what authority, you already know what authority I come in. You already know who gave me this authority. Nigga, you already know. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. But I'm going to give you a question that I know your wicked butt's not going to want to answer. Who gave me the authority to do what I'm... See, what he didn't do right here is he didn't sell his wisdom, his instruction, and his understanding. He didn't give himself over to that temptation, to that work of man. He didn't give himself over to that. I have possessed truth, wisdom, chastening, and understanding, and I'm not going to give that over. I'm not going to sell that for the justification of feeling that I've proved to myself that I've done something, and this is another temptation. Because that's a temptation in regards to pride being tested. Still remaining humble in a situation. I know who gave me the authority. I know who gave it to me. I don't need to prove myself to you. Who are you? 12 and 13. And they said unto him, send, and they send unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. So again, they're trying to tempt him, catch him while he's talking, so they can have something that cute. That's why they sent the Herodians. Let's see if we can get him talking, get it wrong. Remember, he said he'd be a king. He said, if you don't do that, you ain't Caesar's friend. That's what they said. Worry about Mr. Charlie. And they said unto him, sir, and then when they would come, they said unto him, Master, we know that you are true. Again, it's a little bit of wisdom. You'll see a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of understanding. I said, we're going to delve into some of this more on the morrow. And when they would come, they said unto him, Master, we know that you are true and care for no man, for you regard not the person of men, but teach the way of Alahym and truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? You already know these niggas. Because you know the law say you ain't supposed to have no respect to person. You know the law say a judge ain't supposed to have no respect to persons. They say, we know you teach it. And look what you're coming to do. Because you're trying to catch me up. Now, you know the average brew in these days and time would have sat there and argued with him too. And would have went to jail. Or how stupid they are. You would have went to jail trying to prove a point. He said, shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, the only way he can know that hypocrisy is because he has understanding. Because he could discern. You understand? That's the only reason. He's possessed, he's possessed and acquired understanding. So he has the banah, by yod, noon, and hay. So you behold that the work of the Son is life. And we know that he's came and given us an understanding that we should know him that is true, and we are in him that is true. Even the son of Alahym, this is the true Alahym in eternal life. And he opened their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. Do you understand? So when you have understanding, you can discern between good and evil, life and death. He discerned, because if you're in hypocrisy, you in death, according to what's written in Job in numerous occasions. So when you can discern it, and see, that's another thing with a lot of brews that get them offended. They get offended when you can discern that they hypocrites. You're not really about what you professing and proclaiming. That's why a lot of individuals steer clear of the gospel and steer clear of taking up that state because they enemies of the state. Because you a hypocrite, because you're not going to resist the sin. You're not going to resist the flesh. You're not going to do it. See, you're not going to offer up your son, your only son, because you don't have no expectation of resurrection. So that's why you're not going to do it. See, Abraham had an expectation that Isaac was going to be rolled from the dead. Yahusha had an expectation that he was going to be rolled from the dead. So therefore, I will offer my son, my only son, because I got these fine promises. So I'm willing to purge myself of the filthiness of the flesh and ruah, so I can perfect being set apart and fear my Alahym. That's what we don't want to do. And the reason why we don't want to do it, because that means we would have to possess that wisdom. You have to actually go by faith. Go possess and acquire it. Because that's the first thing he told you to do, buy the truth. Go buy you some faith. Go possess that. Go acquire that. He said, don't give that. He said, don't sell your faith out now. Don't you give that up. Don't mess around and do what Eve did and sell your faith out. Don't do what Adam did and sell your faith out. Don't give that up. He said, and after that, because from that faith gonna come that wisdom and that correction and that understanding. He said, don't you give yourself or don't you sell that either. Don't let nobody take that from you. That ain't say take, don't give that to nobody. Don't give it away. And again, it's talking back to what we're dealing with the beast, because the beast is trying to get you to unass your faith, your wisdom, your correction, and your understanding. He wants you to let it go. He wants you to relinquish it. He wants you to drop it. That's why this is important, what we're talking about. And it's going to take the dealing with the tempting, the trying, all that stuff we talked about earlier. Going back to that beast. Going back to that mystery of iniquity. Going back to that conversation right there. And it's all going to come down. You're not going to be tempted and you're not going to fall when you know you're out. See, Abraham knew Yahuwah. So he already know, Yahuwah going to give it word. I'm going to his sacrifice. He going to resurrect from the dead. He said in Isaac, my seed going to be called. He might ask me to sacrifice my son today, but my son's going to come back from the dead. I already know this here. Because why would he have told me that Isaac, my seed going to be called, and that I'm going to have all these children from out this seed? So I know that's what's going to happen, because that's what he told me. Because I know my God. I know him. I know what type of man he is. I know who he is and what he's about. All we know about our Alahym, we didn't know his name. And we argue about that. It's Yahweh. It's Yahweh. It's Yahuwah. It's just Yah. That's how dumb we is in these days and times. You argue about everything. One thing I know, niggas always worrying about the wrong thing. Niggas always worrying about the wrong thing. You got niggas like, nobody supports me. Why you worry about who in the bleachers, nigga? Just play the game. Just play the game, my nigga. Why you worry about who in the bleachers? So you ain't gonna play hard because your mama didn't come to the game, nigga? You ain't gonna play hard because your friends ain't come, because your daddy ain't come. Nigga, that's sucker talk, man. That's loser talk. Nobody supports me. They didn't come watch me play. Come on, I mean, you don't do this for the love. You do this for the fans, nigga. You do it for the fans. You serve y'all for the fans, my nigga. You gotta serve y'all whether they support you or not. What support you need? You got Yahuwah. What more better support is that? But that's what I mean, niggas worrying about the wrong things. Ain't nobody in the fan in the stands. Play the game, my nigga. You gonna score a touchdown or you gonna get a touchback? You gonna take a knee? You know what I'm saying? Niggas out here taking knees, man. You gonna take a knee? Yahusha ain't take no knee. He took it back out the end zone, 8-yard deep. You ain't see, Yahusha told his apostles, he said, all y'all gonna be scattered from me. You think he sat around and said, there ain't nobody in the bleachers, they ain't supporting me. I can't get up there on the stage. Ain't nobody there to support me. Come on, man. Come on, man. You do this for the crowd. Don't do it for the crowd, man. That's why you can't believe. That's why you can't believe when you seek an honor from everybody else. They cheer me on. I can do it now. Come on, man. Tighten up. Tighten up on your backstroke. You know what I mean? Tighten up. 12 and 15. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, why tempt you me? Bring me a penny that I may see it. They brought it. And he said unto them, whose this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. Yahusha answering said unto them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and the Alahym the things that are Alahym. And they marveled at that. Mean wisdom right there. That means skill. And that's mean faith on top of it. That means skill. That's a mean skill right there. They ain't know what to do. So that would be belong to man, get at the man. But what belongs to Alahym? Take you back to possessing and acquiring and him redeeming. He bought you back with his own blood. So give your life to Alahym because it belonged to him. That's what Abraham seen when he talking about offering up Isaac. Well, shoot, Isaac belonged to Alahym anyway. So it ain't like he mine. This y'all's son anyway. I just want to go down to the rest of this here because I've always loved how my shot went upside their head with this. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and read that because I always enjoyed that. So then come unto him the Sadducees, which say there is no resurrection, and they asked him, saying, Master, Moses wrote unto us, if a man's brother die and leave his wife behind and leave no children, that his brother should take his wife and raise up a seed unto his brother. Now there were 7 brethren, and the first took a wife, and dying left no seed. And the second took her and died, and neither left he any seed, and the third likewise. And the 7 had her and left no seed. Last of all, the woman died also. And in the resurrection, therefore, when they shall rise, whose wife shall she be of them? For the 7 had her. Yahushua answering and said unto them, do you not therefore err? Because you know not the scriptures, nor neither the power of Alahym. For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels which are in heaven. And as touching the dead, that they rise, have you not read in the book of Moses, how in the bush Alahym spake unto him, saying, I'm the Alahym of Isaac, Abraham, the Alahym of Isaac, and the Alahym of Jacob. He is not the Alahym of the dead, but the Alahym of the living. You therefore do greatly err. Just a little understanding and truth right there. Just a little understanding and faith. No wisdom involved. He just straight flat out told him, well, I know what I believe, cuz. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the scriptures. You don't know the power of Alahym. You just don't know what you're talking about. You know what we sit around and argue about what we don't know what we talking about? Esau. You know what you're talking about. What group of people is what tribe? The whole time we don't know our Alahym nor the power of Alahym. Because if we don't know the scripture, that means we don't know his word. They didn't believe in the resurrection and they were being sarcastic. They were definitely being sarcastic. And that's why he ain't show no wisdom. He just outright executed faith and told them about themselves. They definitely were being sarcastic. They were definitely being funny. And he definitely told them about themselves. As he should have. But let's deal with this fact of because of this faith, his seed will possess the gate of his enemies. Of course, you know there's not seeds of many, but seeds of one, and that seed being the Mashiach. Of course, you know what it says in Isaiah 59 about how, and this is the covenant, they say the Redeemer shall come to Jacob. And this is the covenant I will make with him, the words that I put in your mouth, and the ruach that I put upon you will be in your seed, and your seed, from henceforth and forever. So in that regard, when we see that, and we get an understanding in that regard, we see that the seed, you must be born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible seed of the son of Alahym. That seed would be you, but who is your enemies whose gate that you would possess? Well, you're definitely not going across to possess no gates in America or in Europe. So let's take a trip to Revelation chapter 11. Eleven and 1. And there was given to me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood rising, saying, measure the temple of Alahym and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the Qadash city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Now, because of the promise that Yahuwah just made in Genesis 22, as we read earlier, Abraham's seed has to possess the gate of his enemies, and that's that royal temple, that tabernacle, that place, and that spot. You've relinquished that gate. Let's take a look at Luke 21. Now we can see in Revelation, he has set a little part of that off. You can see that in Ezekiel 40 as well, but it's not going to pinpoint the Gentiles, so to speak. Or at least the measuring of the city anyway. Luke 21 and 20, I surmise. And when they shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. Then let them which are in the Yehuda flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let them that are in the countries enter thereinto. These are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. For destruction unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for that there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. They shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So, looking at a text, will we be able to consider at this particular juncture that Gentiles would be enemies? Will we be able to make that distinction, sir?
No.
They would be your enemies if they the ones who are trodden down Jerusalem and taking you captive and slaying you by the edge of the sword.
I would think. So, when we talked, what we read the prophet, where it said they're going to come grab our hand.
Some of them will, but he said out of the nations. It's going to be somebody saying out of all the nations.
Right, I was thinking like that.
But let's take a look at something in Genesis chapter 9, because he said you got to possess the gate of your enemy. Nine and 25, Genesis 9 and 25. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant shall he be unto his brethren. He said, Baruch be Yahuwah, Alahym of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Alahym shall enlarge Japhet. He shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So he said that these Gentiles, right, because Japhet is the father, the progenitor of the Gentiles, correct? It said he going to dwell in the tents of Shem. So let's read them, see what that's saying. Because where are the tents of Shem? We got to think about that, right? It's in the text, right? Got to see what it mean what it say. Get some understanding. Now, he said that he would enlarge your fat. The word for enlarge is patah. Patah means to be wide open, to make spaces, to make open. Also means somebody who's very simple-minded and gullible. So, of course, in this instance, we know it's going to be spacious or wide. Not necessarily someone who's very naive. And of course, you know, you have tents, which is ohel, which is a dwelling place, a home, a habitation. So they say they're going to dwell in the house of Shem. Where is the house of Shem? Where is the house of Shem, sir? So in Jerusalem. So we already see where Mashiach is spitting that the Gentiles going to be in that place, right? Mashiach already told you this in Luke. Revelation 11 is backing it up, right? So when we sit back and see who's going to be around there beefing and fighting and doing all this here, possessing now of course your gate of your Jerusalem ain't just going to be possessed by the Gentiles. It's going to be possessed by one wicked, no good bastard. You know him as the son of perdition, right? So now you got to get to possess the gate of your enemies, because your enemies dwelling in your house. Ain't that's what the apostles asked? Well, at this time when you take back, they think he going to take back Jerusalem for the people at that time, didn't he? You going to take this stuff back when he wife old man? I'm tired of dealing with him. He doing all manner of stuff around here. I don't like it. But let's end with Revelation 19, man. We'll call it a night from there. Y'all know it's summertime, so we start a little bit later because it's got a little bit more daylight. We take that into account. (19 and 11). I saw heaven open. Behold, a white horse. He that sat upon him was called faithful and true. In righteousness he does judge and make war. His eyes were as flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the word of Alahym. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon the white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Out of his mouth go a sharp sword, with it that he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and tread the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty Alahym. He had on his vesture and on his thigh name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now, let's sit back and let's ponder something. We know in Zechariah said he would return to the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. But let's think about David. Old King David. King David went a conqueror and had many crowns on his head at one time. And where did King David return to after he defeated all his enemies? He returned back to Jerusalem. And did not King David possess all his enemies? Same way Solomon possessed all his enemies as a man of rest. We went over this a few years back, He came as Solomon, but he returned as David. David was a bloody man, according to the word of Yahuwah. Yahushua coming back to be a bloody man. He was a man of shalom upon his first incarnation, I should say. Not to say in reincarnation, but his first animation. Animation is flesh and blood. But this return is animation of flesh and bone. He coming back like David. And he coming back to take back Jerusalem. If you remember, what was the first place that David ruled in? What was the name of that city?
Not Jerusalem.
He spent, that was in the Northern Kingdom. He spent 33 years there, I want to say. Starts with an H. That's where he was at. Then he had to conquer Jerusalem, didn't he? Because his enemies actually possessed that gate.
Yeah, it was called Jebus.
It was called Jebus. And then he took it from the Jebusites. Because his seed got to possess the gate of his enemies. And then he possessed it. And did not Solomon, his seed, possess Jerusalem and rule from them? Text showing you from the get-go what it's going to be. So when you see him making that promise, your enemies possess the gate of your home. And he going to promise that you're going to possess it. But only reason you able to get that is because you believe those promises. As for regard to Abraham, he purged himself from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach. He perfected being set apart, and he feared Alahym, and you see that in his actions. And if you follow those same actions, then that same blessing will be upon you. And that blessing being that you would be the seed of Hamashiach, and he will bestow that upon you. But all praises be due to the Most High Alahym, the creator of heaven and earth, Yahuwah of hosts, in the name of his only son, Yahushua HaMashiach, and blessed be his day of rest. So, Yahuwah willing, we'll continue down this path of looking at being tested and purged and tried and all the things that pertain to that, which will allow you to acquire your truth, your wisdom, your chastening, your understanding, so that your Father can be very, very pleased with you. You need to acquire it. You need to possess it. You need to gain it with every ounce of your being. Notice the three things that he told you to purchase. Buy the truth. Don't give it away. Also, wisdom, correction, and understanding. Those are the things that you need, 4 things that you need to acquire. Those 4 things equal to eternal life in totality. But notice the first thing he told you to purchase is acquire you some faith. How you going to be able to know how to move and accept correction and to have discernment if you don't leave? How's that possible? But I bless y'all out the house of y'all name of Yahushua. Appreciate everybody. Love everybody. Don't get caught up out here with these sinners worrying about them cartoon people. Don't let it get you distracted. A lot of things out here, and I'm just saying that just to be facetious, but at the same token, niggas get distracted by a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying not to get distracted because you ain't gonna be distracted from a film. Ain't no film gonna distract you. What's going to distract you is if you get caught up and swept up in the things of no consequence without actually weighing, knowing, and mastering the things of consequence. You understand what I'm saying? You can go watch a film. Film's not going to distract you. But if you get wrapped up in the things that pertain to the film, and it ain't just no Avengers movie, it just ain't no NFL draft, it ain't just none of that type of stuff. It's the things that distract you from actually knowing your Alahym. I told you before, if you know everything else about all these fictional characters, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't just talking about that movie. I'm talking about these so-called scripted television shows, scripted news shows, scripted entertainment, all that junk. If you know more about them than you know about your God, you ought to be ashamed. And I speak this to your shame. And I will not repent. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, and I tell it to your face if you got a problem with it. You ought to be ashamed. You should know your God better than you know anybody. You should know your God better than you know your spouse. You should know your God better than you know your churn. And you definitely ought to know it better than you know these sinners and what they got going on. Because they got a reward. I ain't read that verse to y'all in Psalms 37. He tell you need to stop envying sinners and not envying nothing they got, because they got a reward. I hope you don't want no parts of it. That's why he told you to come out from among them and be separate. You don't want to be sanctified by the faith that's in him. But nevertheless, stay strong in the faith. Let the blessings of Yahuwah rain upon your head. Let the Ruach HaKadosh dwell in you and quicken you to everlasting life. Go out here and acquire you some truth and some wisdom and some discipline and some understanding, that your Abba Shamahim might be pleased. So blessings again in the name of Yahuwah. And blessings and also in the name of Yahushua. Let the love of Yahushua rain down upon you. And Yahuwah willing, on the morrow, we'll do it again.